stages of it. They had a 5th place early on in their career back in 1983. They made 10 of them in a row, but never got into the top 8. Only 10th their best showing in those last 10 AfroBaskets. I mean, you look at them, they're a bit of a small team. How do you think they're going to cope against some of the bigger teams in this competition?
Well, it's always going to be about running the floor. It's going to be about pushing the pace. They're going up against a team like Egypt who has some size. They have a couple of guys that are sitting at about 6'8", 6'9". With their starting center from Mozambique standing at about 6'7", he's going to be having his hands full in the paint. And once again, we're playing in a very it's a humid arena. It's going to be a lot of effort that's going to determine the winner in this game, no doubt.
Well, Egypt certainly coming in as favorites for this game this morning. It's coming up to 11:30 in the morning local time here in Dakar, and they will come with pressure on them as they always do, Egypt. Nobody has won more medals in AfroBasket down the years than Egypt. With 17 of them, they're tied with Angola as the most successful nation in terms of medals. They're tied 2nd for gold medals with 5 behind Angola and level with the hosts here, Senegal. And that history brings with it, and it's a lot of history. There have even been European champions in the past, if you go back to the 40s. Egypt, the people, the fans will expect a good showing from their team.
Yeah, absolutely, and Egypt as well. They're looking to try and get themselves back on track after falling to Tunisia 80-66 just a couple of weeks ago in a an exhibition match, before this tournament.
Right, I think we're going to get ready now for the national anthems of the 2 teams as the players stand and look up at their flags. And we're going to start off with the national anthem of Egypt, I believe. Or in fact, it's Mozambique first.
Et on passe à l'hymne national de l'Égypte.
And now the national anthem of Egypt. Well, the teams will now go into their little huddles. They'll meet at half court and handshakes, and it's almost time to go. Just another couple of minutes until we get things underway. It's an exciting time. There'll be a bit of nerves on the players, and in some ways how you settle in a situation like this is going to be important. Get those first few minutes out of the way and then get into the flow of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. When you add in the fact that a lot of these players, of course, only getting a couple of weeks at the most to really get a chance to mesh and gel together. Obviously, some of these players have had years together on the national program, but it's always a little bit more difficult with the team chemistry when you're really just trying to put a team together with the few weeks that you have, and sometimes even just a week or two at the most. And when you've got an opportunity now, all the scrimmages are finished, all the exhibition games are finished, now it's time to actually play for real. And of course, as you said, Daniel, they're going to be a little bit tense to begin, but once they start loosening up, it should be some very entertaining basketball.
And I think that probably applies as a referee blows 3 minutes to the start of the game. Probably applies a little bit more to Mozambique, although is the pressure off when you're playing a country like Egypt? You might come in a bit loose and try and get them early, particularly when it's first game of the day. It's only in these tournaments that you tend to play at this time of day, so get all that into it.
Oh, of course, and really you can also add in the fact that Mozambique is in a situation here. Their style is run and gun. Their style is free and easy, attacking the basket. I'm sure that Egypt's going to have a game plan they want to put in place. This is a team that's got considerably more experience on the international level. But when you're playing, when you're a team like Mozambique, usually they're the teams that are the ones that have the more experienced teams on their heels to kick off these games. Especially if your style is to attack the basket. And even we're looking at some warm-ups here, Mozambique showing off their athleticism. We're seeing a couple of guys here that are only standing about 6 feet 2 inches and putting it down with some authority. So that's when you have that kind of run and gun game available, it's impressive.
Well, this is the first game of the day in Group D. The other two teams in this group are South Africa. Again, they will play the host Senegal later on this evening. Looking forward to that one. Of course, Mozambique will play South Africa tomorrow. That should be an interesting contest between those two nations. And it's about pacing yourself in a tournament like this, but winning the opening game sets you up, and there's no real room for error. You've got to make sure you're on that plane to go to Tunisia for the next phase.
Absolutely, well said, Daniel. And when you have the opportunities here, Mozambique, they are one of those teams. Them and South Africa in this group are going to be in tough against the powerhouses of Egypt and Senegal. And really, what you're hoping if you're Mozambique is you can kind of catch Egypt off guard here and just make sure you're keeping pace and staying within striking distance throughout the game, and maybe give yourself an opportunity to make a late push and more or less shock the continent, if you will.
Well, it certainly would be a massive shock if Senegal or Egypt don't come out of this group. They are heavy favorites to qualify for the next stage, but strange things happen at times in sport, and the two coaches have got their teams into a huddle for the last time before we get things underway. Those last few messages. Usually in this situation, a coach will just try and remind them the key points that they've game planned for, and maybe a play or two for the first time, reminding them of defensive assignments, stuff like that. And no doubt the captain or one of the more vocal players in there will give them a bit of a geeing up. Come on, fellas, let's do it for the country now. This is where it all gets started.
Absolutely, Dan. And when you also consider the fact that Egypt right now, if you are Egypt, you don't necessarily want to overthink your strategy. You want to get out there and you want to just play. You want to work on the things, of course, that you've been going over in training camp. But sometimes what it just comes down to is those good, quick split decisions, whether in the paint or making a cut or taking that open shot, being comfortable with taking that open shot if they give it to you. That's basketball in the nutshell. If you're able to go out there and play loose and free, regardless of what your style of play is, you tend to come out successful most of the time. And when you're going up against a team like Mozambique, a team that they have in the last 4 meetings have won their games by an average of just over 14 points, they've shown that they can take these guys on, and they can not only just play with them, but of course beat them, being that the powerhouses that they are here in Africa.
Well, Amir Abdul Halim is first man out onto court. He's got Gendi on his back. He also goes by the name of El Gendi, and he leads out his Egyptian team. Also in the starting lineup is Baka and Khalifa. Out there wearing number 20 is Okasha. And then rounding off the starting 5 is El Hamal wearing number 9. And here Mozambique getting ready. And Shimonzo runs over to pick up the ball, but it was one of the practice balls. He thought he was getting an early touch of the game ball, but it was one of the practice balls. Canavete and Novella also out there. Mushate as well in the starting lineup, with Ubisi ready to jump it up against the big number 66, all 2 meters 7, 6'9" a bit, Khalifa, and he wins that open tip. And Egypt will get things underway for the Senegal section of FIBA AfroBasket, and they'll get a very easy score inside. Great pass, and Hamel is there to lay it in.
That's that free and easy style we were just talking about. Nice cut to the basket and a quick finish there. Egypt on top.
But defensively, they're going to have to be a little sharper than that, as the drive to the basket from Novella comes up with nothing. And a little Euro step there from Abdel Halim doesn't go. 3-point shot rims out, and you can see the size advantage already. But the rebound pulled down by Canavete.
And that's something we're going to need to keep seeing, Dan, from Mozambique, is a lot of white shirts attacking the basket on those defensive rebounds. They're going to need to be able to help each other every chance they get.
Nice attack to the basket. Doesn't quite go for Ubisi, but he will go to the line to shoot 2 after drawing the first foul of the ball game.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that from Ubisi. He's going to have his hands full working in the paint throughout this game, but you have to establish that you're not afraid to get in there and get physical with some of these taller Egyptian players. And for his efforts, he gets to the line for 2.
First one is good, and Mozambique are on the board for the first time. And somebody stepped in too early, but it doesn't matter as the free throw went in, so that's good. And we're tied at 2, a minute in. Two teams just feeling each other out here in Dakar. Kasha brings it forward, and Khalifa with the 3. The big man showing his touch all the way out to deep.
Gives a little 3 to the bench there. Very confident to take that shot, especially with the hand in his face.
Shimonza moves the ball on to Mashate. Canavete trying to find some room. Nice use of the pick and roll, but not finished inside by Ubisi.
I don't think he was looking to be that wide open when Ubisi got the ball there, and Egypt was able to make the rotation.
Abdul Halim attacks the basket, draws the foul, and he's got a chance to get his first points on the board. He was very much the scoring leader in qualification. 18.4 points per game to help his team get here to Senegal. And they'll be hoping to get them to Tunisia as well, although misses on the first free throw.
One thing Mozambique is going to have to be careful about here is getting themselves into foul trouble. Egypt, as we've said earlier, Dan, the larger of the two teams, can't allow them to impose their physical will in this.
Abdel Halim makes the second. Egypt lead by 4. We're 100 seconds into AfroBasket 2017 here, although they started in Tunisia a few minutes before us, so they're a bit further along in proceedings. Good ball movement from Mozambique, but the open shot doesn't drop at the top of the 3-point line from Shimonza, and eventually the ball goes out of bounds for an Egypt possession.
And Dan, if I'm Mozambique, regardless of the fact that they missed that shot, they have to be pleased with the way that they were able to move the ball and get the open shot. You can't be discouraged by missing those. If you continue to keep moving the ball like that, you are going to get your shots to fall.
Moves it on. That's too easy getting to the lane, but the finger roll just wouldn't drop in for Akasha. Not loose. And here come Egypt. They've got numbers here, 4 on 2. Abdel Halim at the top. Doesn't knock down the 3. Who'd that touch last? Well, despite his protestations, Mashata is judged to have knocked it out of bounds. So it's an end-line ball to the Egyptians, and they'll have a new 14.
Just one thing I'm noticing so far in this first quarter, Dan, is Mozambique allowing Egypt to get a chance to get set and take those shots even with a man on them. If you're the smaller team, you have to make sure you're locking down that perimeter and taking advantage of your lateral quickness here over a taller and wider Egyptian squad here. But we're just not seeing that as there's another open shot.
Good ball move, yeah, and there's a big man inside, Khalifa, to lay it back in. Couldn't have been any more wide open. He had the freedom of the far side of the court there to take that 3. And the referee just stopping the game for a second. Not quite sure, was it? Oh, the shot clock, I think, went to the wrong place. Didn't reset to 24. So they're just going to put it at 18. And I think that's the only thing. The referee on the baseline has come up to whether he's saying it's not 18, it might be more than that, but not quite sure. Well, whatever it is, they've sorted it out between them, and we can get things back underway here. Ball is inbound by Canavete.
This will be an important possession here for Mozambique.
And they go inside, and a strong move by Obisi, but he can't finish it off. And having scored early on, tied up, they've drawn a blank on their last few trips. As Khalifa putting the ball on the floor. Barker drives in, kicks it out. Jamal knocks down the 3, and suddenly it's a 9-point lead to Egypt and a chance for a steal, but not quite there. Canavete drives in, he's blocked by Khalifa. The ball is loose. Mozambique come up with it. That's a tough shot for 3, and it ends up being an air ball from Shimonza. Well, that's an ambitious pass. Somehow gets El-Hamel. He's got all day to line up the 3 off the back of the ring. It comes all the way to him, though. Little too easy on the rebounding here for the Egyptians.
Absolutely. Had a few Mozambique players sitting back.
Shot clock. 2 seconds on the shot clock as the foul is called. That always frustrates a coach. He played defense for, well, in that case, 32 seconds, wasn't it? But and then a foul called. Mashate was whistled for it, and unsurprisingly, with just over 4 minutes to go, and team in a 9-point hole here, Mozambique have called for a timeout. And what would you think the main point of emphasis will be in that Mozambique huddle right now?
Well, right now, I think the best thing that the coaching staff can show them is when they move the ball and when they're moving it around the perimeter and when they're constantly cutting and making movements and trying to get this Egyptian defense off the rotation, you're going to get your open shots. And we've seen that a couple of times here with Mozambique. Anytime, however, that they've tried to just have one pass and then attack the basket, the referees aren't giving them the whistle, and they're not finishing at the rim. So the most important thing they really could try and do right now is just continue to keep the ball moving, because when you're only giving one pass before getting the shot off, you're also leaving the rest of your teammates out at this point, where they can kind of get into a bit of a lull and not expect the pass, maybe be a little bit more passive on defense, which is something we have actually seen from this Mozambique team in this first quarter, hence all of the open threes here by Egypt. So they really just have to keep continuing to move the ball and keep themselves engaged on offense, and the defense is going to pick itself up, because we've already seen them attempt to do the half-court trap. It's had a little bit of success, but everybody has to be communicating and everybody has to be ready to say, I want the ball.
Well, I would agree with that. A little bit of boxing out, and as you say, chasing out. There's been 2 or 3. You think of the one that Lukash out on the far side, El-Hamal on this side, wide open, and a long time to think about it again. And there's a shot from the top of the key by Bakal, which doesn't go. And here come Mozambique, trying to get some points on the board. Give the scoreboard operator something to do. They go into the man who has scored so far, and he gets his second basket of the game, Ubisi.
That is a great athletic finish there, taking advantage of the fact that the big man under the basket was just willing to let him try and get that shot up and under, and he took full advantage.
There's Camel in the corner. Nice. Well, it was almost a nice pass, but it was well read. And this is, we were talking about it before the game. This is where Mozambique have to take advantage. Mashave couldn't hang on to that pass out of bounds. That should have been 2 more points on the board for them.
Absolutely, but once again, here's Egypt's length and size coming into play there. And unfortunately, when you have a point guard that size, it's going to be a little bit tough to see over his defender, and hence that's why you see such a tough pass trying to be made and eventually bounces off his hand in the turnover.
Bacher hands it on. Abdel Halim drives in, tough shot, doesn't go. And again, chance for fast break points, and this time they do take them through Nivella.
That's a great finish there. Keeps his back to the defender, defends the ball as he goes up. Excellent finish on the fast break there by Mozambique.
Abdel Halim. Khalif has already shown his range from that distance. It'd be wise to get out to him. Big man doesn't knock it down this time. And again, attack the basket. He's out of bounds there, yes he is. He missed the lane and then tried to make amends there, Mashave, but jumped from outer court into court and hadn't established himself inbound, so it's an Egypt possession.
And Dan, one thing I'm noticing when Mozambique, it's a good thing that they are attacking the basket as aggressively as they are, but they have to try and find that soft touch now. Every shot that they've been taking has been just over the basket for the layups.
Here's Shamonzo kind of forced the turnover. Open for 3, knocks it down. And they needed that. And you see coming out of that timeout, they've scored the last 7 points and cut it down to 2.
Absolutely, Dan. And here's the defense again at the half court.
They're trying that little pick and roll with the bounce pass there, but it didn't reach Makawi. It was deflected out of bounds. And it will be possession along the end for the Egyptians.
And we're seeing almost a bit of a role reversal here, Dan. Now it's Egypt that's trying to just do one pass, pick and roll, trying to finish at the basket, but Mozambique definitely having the superior hands right now on defense. They've caused a couple of turnovers and gotten some stops.
Kanadi fresh into the game, turns the ball over.
There it is again.
And yeah, good fast break and finished off with the left hand by Mashavi.
That's some great basketball there. And once again, now we're starting to see calm down a little bit, realize the defender's coming, keep your composure. Nice finish at the rim there.
9 in a row from Mozambique has tied the game up at 11 in the space of about 2.5 minutes. That's just good strength. There's not a lot you can do with that. El Wakawi is much bigger, good footwork, fundamentally sound, and just scores over his man.
Ubisi literally did everything he could there, Dan. Just got knocked off a little bit. Excellent fundamentals there by the Egyptian big man.
Step back for 3. Tough shot doesn't go from Shamonzo.
Shamonzo was feeling that one there, Dan. Even left his defender for a minute there, created the space, but a great closeout there by the Egyptian defender.
Schuster fires up. Good rebound from El-Makawi. And again, here he is with that match. He's picked the dribble up though, so he's forced to go back out. He does want it again on the pick and roll. Do they go to him? No, the skip pass to the far side. And Schuster on the shot clock buzzer, can't do it. And that's a foul, is it? Or did he just throw it out? No, it was deflected. Looked something funky happened.
That looked like it went off an Egyptian defender, and the referees made the right call there, Dan.
They corrected it in the end. I couldn't work out whether he'd slapped the arm or slapped the ball away. I mean, it was a bit of an underhand pass anyway, which is probably not the best way of throwing it out, but it definitely looked like the Egyptians got a finger on that, which is what they've decided was the case, and it'll be an end-line ball, which will be inbounded from Makuringe. Now he's tucked his shirt in, having come into the game. Got to look presentable. Here's his first touch, and he fires up the shot. Not quite.
Makarenge making himself available right away, trying to get those, get loose, if you will.
Here's Gennady for Egypt. Bounce pass to El Hamal, doesn't quite go. And a chance for Gennady to get his first touch of the basketball. Not quite pulled in there by Makarenge. Skip pass. Driving in, not quite. Foul is called, but Ashave drawing the contact, and he will go to the free throw line.
And dare I say it, Dan, it looks like Egypt ever so slightly showing a little bit of fatigue right now. Not as active at defending the basket, and the referees are starting to reward Mozambique's aggressiveness at the rim.
I also wonder, as that ball bobbles about, you mentioned their previous meetings, and Egypt generally winning by a comfortable double-figure margin on each occasion. They come out, and within 4 minutes they get up 11-2, and whether that just, psychologically they go, oh, we're going to win this, and then suddenly Mozambique get a bit fired up out of the timeout, and takes a minute or two to react to that, and another mistake allows Mozambique with Gennady to bring it forward.
I think you can add in the fact that this Mozambique team is a relatively young team, Dan, and they weren't there for the majority of those losses, and they're showing their athleticism and their aggressiveness. So this could be a very different Mozambique team.
Foul is called as El Hamal drives along the baseline, and he's passed it off, so it'll be a sideline possession. It's the first foul of the ball game against Ashave. And it'll be an end-line ball to Egypt. Just over a minute to go here in the opening quarter. An opening quarter that started really well for the Egyptians, but Mozambique have fought back well here. And well, coach is wanting a hooking. I don't think that's what's the call's going to be. It looked like a defensive foul to me, and yes, it is. As Makarenge's number is shown to the table, and Abu Shusha will go to the free throw line, shoot a pair. Tick under 55 seconds to go here in this quarter.
Head coach Garcia trying his best there to convince the referees otherwise, but to no avail.
First foul shot doesn't go. Well, they're all in way too early there. You've got to, no, referee says that's fine, and Egypt will say, okay, that's no problem for us, because El Makawi with the rebound, it looked like there were 8 guys in the lane there.
You're not going to get many defensive rebounds if you're allowing the offensive team to get that early into the paint.
Charvet moves it on. Gennady gets his man up in the air. Good recovery though. Made the shot difficult. Sorry. And away comes Egypt as Abdullah gets it out to Gennady.
Absolutely.
Abdullah Halim putting the ball on the floor, and there's a foul called off the ball as big El Makawi was trying to get free, and he was just being held there by Magaliko. And El Makawi will go to the free throw line. Doesn't get that one to go. He's already got 4 points to his name.
Both teams looking like they're having a little bit of issues at the free throw line to kick off this tournament.
Well, it's always one of those things when you come to a new gym, as the open three is good, beautiful shot from Makarenge. They will have practiced, of course, but as time expires on the opening quarter, It's a very close ball game, exactly what we were hoping for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Egypt jumped out to a great start, scoring 11 of the first 13 points of the quarter, but a terrific response from Mozambique. And coming out of that timeout, we talked about it at the top of the show. Is it going to be one of those things where the nerves might get the better of you, or just that sort of adrenaline pumping, and maybe they needed those few minutes just to calm down in the timeout, but they've been good since then, Mozambique.
Absolutely, Dan, and I think the number one thing that has Mozambique in this game, well, really two things actually, is one, making sure that they're initiating the defensive pressure, making sure that Egypt is going to have to continue to move the ball if they don't want to force turnovers. Every single time Egypt had brought the ball up with anybody that wasn't the point guard, Mozambique was all over them with a double and even at times a triple team. And whenever there was we've seen the Egyptian guards panic, to be blunt, and they've been throwing the ball away, and Mozambique making the most of it, jumping the passes that are going into the paint. They know that Egypt needs to get the ball into the paint to score easy buckets. Mozambique has done an excellent job coming out of that timeout to make sure that that is not happening. And of course, the second important thing that they've done to get themselves back into this game is finishing their layups on the fat. And taking advantage of the fact that Egypt is only shooting 20% from the free throw line.
Yeah, they're struggling from behind the arc, Egypt, and from the free throw line. They've been effective when they've got it in to the big guys inside, as you would kind of expect, but Mozambique have done a good job of forcing them into taking those three-point shots, and they've not been able really to profit from them so far. Second quarter then underway. Renato round the screen, dumps it back out. Sharbe takes a tough shot, and they let that one fly out of bounds, and it'll be possession to Egypt.
Not the shot you'd exactly want to see if you're the head coach of Mozambique, but one thing you can at least take solace in is the fact that before he took that shot, he did a little dribble, squared himself up, and let it fly. And if you have that kind of confidence, you want to see that in your players on the floor.
Good ball movement all around the perimeter at the minute. It's a tough shot and ends up a long way short from Bernarde.
It's a tough lean too, just a slight lean kind of set him off there.
There's a bit of a lean there from Makurenge. And he has a rueful look at the referee as he's pointing the other way.
Excellent hustle though. We're seeing still Mozambique, the aggressors when it comes to energy so far in this game.
50 seconds into the second quarter, 2-point game here in Group D. In Dakar, Senegal, where their home nation are in action later on today in this group. But first of all, Egypt looking to overcome Mozambique, and another 2 points on the board from Shusha.
Shusha, very composed, very calm, recognized he had the height advantage. Let that shot go very freely, very confident when he let it go, almost as if the defender wasn't even there. And that's what we're going to need to see more of from Egypt. A little bit back to the footwork and fundamentals that got them their early lead.
Renato fakes the three, steps underneath, takes it. I don't think he was aiming for the backboard, but that's all he came up with. Bernardi pushing it the other way. Little stutter step drives in. And Renato committing the foul. It'll be his first of the ball game.
Renato, he's got what it really comes down to those little things, Dan. When you see as he's now going to take a seat on the bench, you see when he came off of that crossover, you still see his feet weren't exactly set. He's still trying to lean the shot and avoid the defender. Usually if you have to avoid the defender that much, it's usually not a good shot. But you can't be making mistakes by causing unnecessary fouls on the other end.
Abdul-Halim driving in, has the ball knocked away. I think he was expecting a foul to come, and actually it didn't come, which kind of put him off. And I thought for a second that thrown it out of bounds, but the referee hadn't made the ball live, which is why Shimonzo bounced it back to him.
That's odd. Usually he's very good at protecting the ball going to the rim, but Mozambique once again showing that they have the quicker hands so far in this game.
Three-point shot is off left for Magaliso.
So again, you have to see the Mozambique players, when they're going off those pick and pops, they have to get their feet set a little bit quicker, have their minds made up of what they're going to do when they get the ball.
Egypt kind of needs some points, and they get some points from Shusha, the shooter. They kind of struggled here offensively. Scored 11 points in the first 4 minutes, only 10 in the last 7 or 8. Trying to get things going again. They needed that three-pointer as well, because they struggled from behind the arc.
Yep.
Nardi in a bit of trouble, bounces it out to Abdullah, comes round to Abdul-Halim, creates a little space for himself, and that time it goes in.
There it is, and what we know him so well for, protecting that basket, going to the hoop, creates the separation with the shoulder, and by that point, all he has to do is just tap it into the rim. Excellent offensive move there.
Merlico inside. And there's a little shove there in the back of Ubisi. He came out hot early. He was the only guy who could score in the first 5 minutes for them.
First 4 points of the game for Mozambique, finishing at the rim. And if I'm Ubisi, I shouldn't be too discouraged by the fact that the referee's giving me the whistle now. I have to make sure that I'm staying poised in the paint.
Well, that was a poor reaction by the Egyptian defense. They kind of got away with one there as the ball was lost.
Great D.
Oh,
get it.
A little high dribble there from Abdullah, and eventually ends out at the top for 3 for Gennady.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, that Mozambique needs to be doing a little bit more consistently, is being ready to receive the ball and shoot it. Know what you're going to do when you get it. And that's something they've been struggling with in about the second half of this second quarter.
Well, as soon as the three-point shots start going in for Egypt, they've opened up a double-figure lead, biggest of the game here at 26 points to 14. And that was always going to be the concern. Well, it was maybe 30 seconds later than this in the first quarter. It was a 9-point lead rather than a 12-point lead, but a timeout called by Mozambique once again, and they had a great response to that first quarter timeout. They need something similar here.
Absolutely, and really we're actually kind of just watching a pattern develop here, Dan, where Egypt kind of settles down, finds their open man, hits their shot. You can tell that this is a team that's been in some big situations before, very composed, especially in their shooting behind the arc in the last couple of minutes. Mozambique, on the other hand, came out in the second quarter trying to do almost a lot of what they were doing in the first quarter by staying aggressive and trying to run the floor, but they've shown that they're struggling a little bit in their half-court game. Players not exactly ready to receive the ball, as I said before, leaning on their shots, footworks could use a little bit more polish, if you will. But one thing Mozambique can do incredibly well is once they've gotten their stamina back and once they run the floor, they are a very, very tough team to deal with in transition. And if they can start applying that pressure at the half court again against those Egyptian guards, they're going to get more of those turnovers, and they're going to get more opportunities for easy baskets and cutting into this deficit.
Well, the one thing you can't afford to do at this sort of level is have 4 minutes without scoring, which is what Mozambique have done here. Egypt have poured in the first 10 points of this second quarter. And Mozambique is trying to do something about that here with the ball at the offensive end. Ubisi hands it back, and slightly out of control, isn't any good. And this is making a nuisance of himself inside, but can't convert that. Gennady looking to come the other way. And again, another open three. This one doesn't go. Good rebound inside from El Makawi. He's just a little too big for Mozambique. I mean, he's deceptive, isn't he? Because he's not the quickest, but he seems to beat his man most times.
Yeah, his footwork is absolutely on point right now. And now it's looking like Mozambique is the team that's a bit fatigued.
I think the 12-0 start to the quarter has had something to do with that. And ball batted up in the air. And, can't beat it to the line.
One thing that Mozambique could have done a little bit better there on that pass to Ubisi, just one step sooner. Ubisi had a time to cut to the basket, but when he received the ball, he was standing still by that point. And when you're standing still, of course, the defense is going to get that step to be able to make the proper rotation and cause a disruption of the shot. Mozambique has to do a better job of finding those guys cutting to the basket as they're moving. And that way the defense will not have as much of a time to react.
Have to fire it up because the shot clock's ticking down, and from way out, Shimonzo hits the big three, the first score of this second quarter by Mozambique. It's taken them almost half of the period to get on the board.
Shimonzo, excellent shot from out there, and we're talking about knowing what you want to do with the ball when you get it, and it took for them to be down to the end.
Good challenge from Ubisi. Again, the height inside. This time it's Khalifa pulling down the rebound. They're just a little too big in there, aren't they? That's half the problem.
Unfortunately, when you're banging with the big guys like that consistently, eventually you're going to get a little bit tired, and it's just looking like, despite the fact that there's 3 or 4 white shirts around the paint, Egypt is just taking full advantage of their height.
Well, there have been 16 rebounds at this end of the floor, and the Egyptians have got 7 of them. So not far off half of all of their missed shots. It's resulting in another offense for the Egyptians, and that's a tough ask. And you talk about fatigue, but if you're having to play defense for 35-40 seconds at a time because you can't get a defensive rebound, that soon wears you down, chasing the ball like that. I believe the second free throw has a thing, but in the end the ring denies it. Monzo going all the way, taking it into the big trees. He's got to get in bounds. In fact, he leaves the ball go because he came off an Egyptian hand last, and it will be there. It will be Mozambique's possession of the ball as Novella checks back into the game for Mozambique.
One thing I want to see here, Dan, is just a little bit more ball movement from Mozambique in the offensive end. Right now they're going back to their old ways of one pass, one shot.
Trying to, I wouldn't let that one go out of bounds, but he kept it alive. Shot clock getting very low here as Ubisi in the paint, trying to get the roll off the ring, and he does. And they've certainly offensively picked it up in the last minute or so.
It's not pretty, but Mozambique will definitely take in. Here's some good sportsmanship. Checking to see if he was okay. But Mozambique, once again, despite the fact that it wasn't the prettiest shot in the world, they were moving the ball around, everyone was engaged, and lo and behold, there's a bucket.
Saba moves it on to Khalifa, and Abdullah up top. 3-ball doesn't go. Flying through the air is Machate, who just got caught there by Khalifa. Unnecessary foul on the big man, but you see the ball there, you go after it, and in the end he commits the foul. 10-point game, 4 minutes and 11 seconds left here in the first half of the first game here in the Senegal section of FIBA AfroBasket 2017. 4 games slated today, tomorrow, day after as well. Plenty of basketball coming your way. And that's before you count the other groups over in Tunisia. Here they go inside to Abdullah. He has to kick it out, but the pass is deflected. Oh, it ends up right back in his hands. That wasn't intended. Does he get an assist for that as well, Pat?
It might be, but that is just absolutely deflating for any team on defense when you've done everything right, denied the inbound pass, have it up in the air, and then just to see it fall in the hands of the opponent for an easy bucket. That's a heartbreaker.
Vete driving through. Whistle on the play. The referee wanders towards the table. Signals 14, which is Abdullah's second foul. Sitting down for the Egyptians is Abdel Halim.
We're still seeing Mozambique on their offense here this time around. A lot of kicks and drives going on. And it's, in theory, it's a great way to move the ball around and create open space, but it only works if the rest of your team continues to move and make cuts and give yourself an opportunity to keep the defense rotating to find that open look. Because if you're only just kicking and driving, you're really just playing a two-man game. And right now, all Egypt has had to do is clog the lane and basically use their size to their advantage. And as a result, Mozambique, sometimes they get to the line, but sometimes they don't, and that results in a costly turnover, and you can't afford to have those kind of turnovers going into the half. You're down by 12. You've got to start picking up your offense, if you will.
David Benavente gets his first points of the contest. And not his second.
These free throws are so important.
Abdullah hands the ball off. Now they go inside. Nice pass fake by Khalifa. He's in a bit of trouble now. Good head fake. No, but it's a clean block, and Mozambique can run here. Novella has it.
Egypt doing a great job getting back on defense.
Tremonza. Head fake in the corner and fouled there by Abdullah. And it was Machate who got his man up in the air, went running past. And just a clumsy foul as much as anything else.
Once again, though, Egypt, they're one thing about them that I've noticed so far in this game, Dan, is that even when they get beat, they don't give up. They don't give up on their man. They'll always try and either have a hand back, and unfortunately that time he got caught. But time and again, we've seen it before when a Mozambique player has beaten his man off the dribble. When they're pulling up for jump shots, the Egyptian defender is right there, hand in the face. And that's something to be commended.
Well, one of the assistant coaches for Egypt was complaining about something at the table, and the referee said, no more of that, or you'll get a technical foul. It's okay for the coach to ask the question, but you can. Well, first shot is no good from Machate.
Machate, 5 rebounds so far in this game, trying to get himself on the scoreboard. For 2 from the field so far.
And it'll be an Egyptian ball from the end line. There's just over 2.5 minutes to go here. I always think these are an important little spell you get just before halftime, particularly when you've got that 15 minutes to think about it. For Mozambique, just to try and hang on in there. If they get it to single digits, they feel great about themselves. Good defensive stop on this occasion, and foul is called on Bakar as he couldn't convert, and he used, how many times you see that big guy doesn't score and he's a bit frustrated, goes after the rebound, commits a foul.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, though, Mozambique, that was a huge stop for them right now, giving themselves an opportunity. 2:21 to go, maybe get a couple of buckets here. They've shown that they're re-energized themselves a little bit in the paint defensively, but these free throws are so important, Dan.
And well, they're not faring very well. Nope, from this distance now. What are they? 3 of 9 from the free throw line.
You just can't afford to have that kind of performance at the line if you want to beat one of the better organizations in all of Africa.
Well, you think about it, you've given away 6 points. Let's say you're not going to make all of them, but put another 4 points on the board, and you're only down 6 coming into halftime. Good rebound again. He gets up high, doesn't he, Machate?
Yes, he does. The athleticism, what they lack in size, they make up for in leaping ability.
Basically, a little step back, tough shot off the front of the ring, and there he is again, keeping it alive. Machate couldn't grab it, so he batted it out to his teammates, and he's in there again, but this time he's out-muscled by Big Baka in there. Well, the defense was slightly out of position there, which kind of threw the Egyptians. They were trying to run a pick and roll, but there was nobody to screen. Oh, wide open El-Makawi at the top. He can't convert. Long outlet pass and a great one too, using the basket well, and just caught him on the top of the head there, El-Makawi. So another 2 free throws. Wow, this would be great for Mozambique, I think, because there's been a couple of times in this ball game where it looked like it might just be getting away from them. If they could somehow get this down to, I don't know, 7 going into halftime, they'd feel great about it themselves.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're the closest game they've had with Egypt in the last 4 meetings. They lost by 6, and that was back in 2001. So they have an opportunity here. It's become clear that this Mozambique team, if they continue to keep running the floor the way that they have, they're going to give themselves a chance. But unfortunately, once again, missing the free throws. But even before then, the fast break, when you see the ball and you've got daylight like that, you can't slow down. You have to attack the basket as fast as possible.
Yeah, free throws, I'm sure. Oh, good recovery there. And it ends up in a turnover. Just super work from Novella. He got beat on the head fake. They're going without touching the ball live. Got beat on the head fake and looked like an open shot there for El Gamal, but he recovered well, and they ended up, he had to throw it out and turned it over.
So, something we're seeing now on both sides is the defense recovering quickly, but if you're on the offense and you have a man off his feet, you have to create more space than just one step. It's been shown time and again that the defense is making the recovery.
Shamonzo kicks it out. Machate, and there is an open shot in the corner that doesn't go for Novella, and that will be out of bounds. Egyptian possession, or is it a foul? In fact, it is a foul.
It did look like a foul, though. A very physical shove to the ground there. Went for the ball at first, but it looked a bit of a hip check, if you will.
Well, 39.9 on the game clock, so in all likelihood, you're looking at 1 possession each here, a stop and a score for Mozambique, and they will be feeling great about themselves. Here's El-Makawi. Schuster. Thrown away. They do get a stop, Mozambique, and the shot clock is switched off, so they can run this one right down to the buzzer. Shamonzo has it, moves it on. They've gone a bit quick there. Foul called. As Canavetti went to the basket, but that's a little early. They will go to the free throw line for 2, but what you've allowed is Egypt to come back the other way with plenty of time to get a score on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. The ideal situation is to bring the ball up, call a play. We've seen Mozambique capable of putting together a string of great passes to find the open man, but really they've been electing to try and push the basket as quickly as possible in this second quarter. Unfortunately, once again, the free throw woes continue. Mozambique literally shooting themselves out of an opportunity here to make this a much closer game than what it's looking like right now.
Well, it'd be a 1-point game if they made every free throw. He'd be at the line tying the game if they'd made every free throw.
And not just that, though. You have to take advantage of the fact that Egypt is struggling as well from the free throw line. But you don't have Egypt's size. You don't have their I wouldn't even say composure, it's just more their physicality, their ability to clean up the baskets, and when you're facing a larger team than that, you're not going to give yourself as many chances. And there's a rebound, but it looks like there's going to be a lane violation.
I think he called a push foul. I think is what he's called there on the rebound. It is a foul that's been given against Obise, I think it is. Yeah, it is, and there's a timeout being called here with 12.4 seconds to go in the quarter. And Egypt with a chance to draw up a play, get it back into double figures. But, well, I suppose there's two ways of looking at it if you're Mozambique. One, you could say, all right, worst case scenario, we're going to be down 11, 12 points. You know, it could have been much worse than that from here, particularly as we've only scored 22 points. It's pretty hard to still be in a game scoring 22 points in 20 minutes. The other way of looking at it is, man, we could be level. We could make a free throw. We could be tied in this game going into 31 all.
They could be up if they were able to finish a few more of their layups consistently in the fast breaks. And that's what it's really coming down to now, is making your open shots and finishing at the rim when you have the opportunity to. And something we're seeing from Mozambique, a team that's known to push the pace, they haven't always been as efficient at pushing the pace as they could be right now. And to your point, Dan, though, they're giving themselves they have a chance. I think the one thing more than anything you can take away from this first half is the fact that they have given Egypt a very hard time in the paint, much harder than we were expecting going into this game. And if they can continue to create these turnovers, they're going to keep giving themselves a chance.
Oh, great pass up. Oh, no, I thought for a minute it was going to come out.
Almost.
I think his shot bobbled like it was going to come out. And that will do it for the first half. And, you know, it's been a very interesting first half where Egypt have had their chances really to pull away and haven't managed to do that. But they have an 11-point lead, and the flip side of that to Mozambique is you scored 22 points and a half and you're only down 11.
And I think really the first thing you brought up was the nerves, and brought up, you know, just being acclimated to the competition of being here in AfroBasket. And we're really seeing it with these two teams, but I don't expect to see either one of these teams be in such an offensive lull going into this second half. I expect a lot more made shots, a lot more finished layups, but Mozambique, they're going to have to keep the intensity on defense, as we've seen for the most part in this first half, to give themselves a chance. And really, if they limit their mistakes, they can beat Egypt in this game.
Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in about 13, 14 minutes time. It's at the half here in the first game in Group D. Mozambique 22, Egypt 33. Brings it forward, and Khalifa with the three, the big man showing his touch. Brings it forward, and Khalifa with the three, the big man showing his touch all the way out to deep floor. Michael drives in, kicks it out. Jamal, not the scoreboard operator, something to do. They go into the man who has scored so far, and he gets his second basket of the game. Something to do. They go into the man who has scored so far, and he gets his second basket.
Just over the basket for the layups.
Shamonzo kind of forced the turnover, open for three, not as Maringa's number is shown to the table, and to the new gym as the open three nation are in action later on today in this group. But first of all, Egypt pushing it the other way. Little stutter step drives in. Abdullah driving in, has the ball knocked away. Egypt kind of needs some points, and they get
the ball.
Egypt kind of needs some points, and they get some points from Abdullah, and eventually ends out the three for Granada.
And that's that way the defense will not have as much of a time to react.
Have to fire it up because the shot clock's ticking down, but he kept it alive. Shot clock getting very low here as Ubisi in the paint, trying to get the roll off the ring, and he does.
AfroBasket 2017, ici en direct au stade de en direct de la RTS, ça se passe en ce moment, la Mozambique à l'Égypte, le sport et le grand droit, appelle toujours en faveur de l'Égypte. Et c'est dans quelques instants, le troisième quart de ce match, en direct de la RTS, avec le sponsor officiel de Orange et qui met tous les autres partenaires qui soutiennent le basketball africain. Merci encore et bienvenue à tout le monde au stade de Sky. Troisième quart, Mozambique, Egypte, let's get it on. C'est parti, le sport est toujours le 33 avec le jeu, toujours à l'origine.
They rolled the dice there, Mozambique. Little pull-up in transition. NBA, nothing but air.
Unfortunately, I will say this much, though, to give some of these players credit. We had a chance to handle some of these Afro basketballs beforehand, and they are a little bit on the harder side, and I'm sure that some of the players are a little bit more used to the softer leather of other leagues. But, of course, at the end of the day, it's no excuse for the shooting. But it just seems like everyone's still trying to get a bit of a handle on it. Every federation has a bit of a different ball here and there. And we're just seeing teams making the adjustment, but I'm sure we're going to see a little bit cleaner looks, if you will, eventually.
There's Bakker moving it on to El Gamble. Abdul Halim, Khalifa. Shot clock down to 4 here. This has to go up. It does go up from Gennady for 3, and it goes in, knocks it down from deep, and the lead is suddenly up to 14, 15 in fact.
Excellent shot there. Caught it in rhythm, hand in his face. Thank you very much.
Long way around, and well, Abdul Halim just holds his hands up. But what am I supposed to do there? As the foul is drawn by Canavete.
And Canavete did something there that I think was it's a little sneaky if you don't catch it. When he was attacking the basket, he looked like he was going to go up right above Abdul Halim's head. But just at the last moment, with Abdul Halim stretched out, he kind of reached under and created the contact before going to the basket and finishing. And I think that's where the referee saw the contact and gave him a trip to the line.
Well, they've reached the 30-point mark. Unfortunately, it's taken 28 minutes to get there. And they're just not putting the ball in the basket often enough, Mozambique, to really make a run at it. Halim floats a little pass out, ball all the way around the 3-point line. Bakker, there's Halim, and he knocks down a 3.
He had all day standing in that corner. You could see on the monitor his hands wide up asking for the ball. And a Mozambique player was not there. And now we're starting to see a pattern here, Dan, where there's always somebody left open in Egypt doing a great job of moving the ball inside and out. But most importantly, the men without the ball are moving around. They're finding open spots on the floor. And when they're spotting up and they have all day to get themselves centered towards the basket, you're going to start seeing them knock down those threes.
Well, when they've hit the threes has been the point at which they've started to pull away, because they've struggled a little from the 3-point line, but they've hit them in bunches, and out of nowhere this lead is out to 19, and it's on the back of a 16-point to 8. So doubled them up in this quarter. That's almost a turnover. They need a bucket here. They need a couple of them, Mozambique, just to settle themselves. Slightly out of control, and a bit fortunate to see El Makawi knock that out of bounds. I'm not sure that pass from Canavete was going to reach its intended destination, but they do have the ball on the end. The shot clock is holding at 3. And they get the quick look in the corner, but it draws nothing. Might have hit the top of the board, I'm not sure.
Got to keep that elbow tucked in a little bit there on that release.
Kasha into El Makawi, and we saw him do this a couple of times in the first half. He's just too big, too strong, but also nice feet.
Absolutely, and when you allow a guy like El Makawi to get those opportunities inside the half circle, the only choice you're going to have if you're Mozambique is to foul him. Your biggest guy is Abissi, and he's only 6'7". And even he's shown a couple of times in those one-on-one matchups that all he can do is just put his hands up and hope he misses. But Alakawi's having none of that.
The other thing is Abissi, he's one of those guys who likes a block shot, so he will gamble a little bit.
Yes.
When you've got somebody with the fundamental footwork of an El Makawi, he is going to draw some fouls in that sort of situation. Timeout called by Mozambique. We're inside the final minute of what has been a very good third quarter if you're a fan of Egyptian basketball, because the lead has ballooned out to 19 points. But again, look at it. It's one of those things, quarter scoring. I have a friend of mine who says you need to just score more than you did in the first quarter, in the second quarter. Keep building. They've gone the other way, Mozambique. They came out with 14, 8 in the second, 8 in the third. You can't win games scoring 8 points in a period.
No, not at all. And when you consider the fact that Mozambique, a team that prides themselves on running the floor in a fast-paced offense, they're not getting the kind of passes they needed. They're not getting the kind of open shots that they require, and they're starting to kind of lose it a little bit on defense. We're not seeing as much communication. We're not seeing as much aggressive footwork, either whether it's boxing out or closing out the ball handler. Just a lot of, it just seems like it's Mozambique that's getting a little bit more fatigued now, as opposed to how Egypt was in that first half. And despite all of that, Mozambique still have an opportunity here to go on a run in that fourth quarter if they're able to create the turnovers they were able to create in the first half.
Well, Egypt have been consistent, 16, 17, 16 through the 3 quarters. So if that comes again, they're going to need a 30-point quarter, Mozambique. Maybe some more than that. And Amakawi pulls in the rebound.
If there's any positive to take away from that shot there, at least he's taking it with confidence now. We're seeing a little bit more hurry up, let's go, let's get ourselves set and take the shots.
About a 6-second, maybe a bit more differential between shots. Oh, good hands. And stolen away. This will be an easy dunk on the break. Ooh, went for the layup in the end. And an attempted block from Shusha didn't come off. Last 5 seconds here of the third. Abdel Halim drives in, dumps it off, and a good score. And again, just smart play. Drew the defense, dished it off, easy 2. We'll take a 19-point lead into the fourth quarter.
Yep, absolutely. Once again, we're just not seeing the same level of defense, despite the fact that we saw a great turnover there, or a great steal and a finish at the other end, but no one's getting back. And they're just not finding ways to stop Egypt consistently.
Well, it's a long way back from here in the final 10 minutes. 32 points to 51. I mean, I've seen 19 points done in a quarter, so anything is possible. But I haven't seen 19 points done in a quarter when you've only got 32 points in 3 quarters. So they need a massive change in their offensive production, Mozambique, if they're going to challenge in this game. But some of it is about, all right, let's get some momentum. Let's finish the game strong, even if we can't make it all the way back up the hill, because we've got another game tomorrow. So we want to go into that with a bit of confidence.
Absolutely, and when you also consider the fact, I mean, there's only two things need to happen for Mozambique to make this either interesting or even win it. They need to hope that Egypt starts getting a little bit colder behind the arc. And that's only going to happen for the second reason. If they continue to pressure on defense at the top of the key, if they continue to pressure the Egyptian guards, that is where they've had the most success in this game, by causing turnovers at the top of the key and quick layups, and also denying the inbound pass. Every time that Egypt has been able to freely move the ball into the paint and back out, they've either had an easy basket under the rim or they've had a wide open 3. Mozambique needs to turn up their defense. By turning up their defense, they've been able to create easy baskets for themselves. That is the only way they're going to come back in this game in the fourth quarter.
Well, Egypt shooting just over 30% from the 3-point line, but they've done it in streaks, and the latest of which is very recent, so they'll be hoping that number keeps going upwards here in the fourth quarter as the two teams make their way back out onto court. 10 minutes to go here in the opening game of the opening day of FIBA AfroBasket 2017. We're in Senegal. There's another couple of groups going on in Tunisia over the next few days, so plenty of action for you to keep across here as the best of Africa go head-to-head, looking to become continental champions. Here's Janato straddling the line for 2, doesn't go, and that's a push in the back from Urelito.
And Janato just hasn't been able to find his feet in this game. from behind the arc. Every shot that he's taken has either been on a lean or his feet he hasn't had a chance to really kind of set himself up comfortably to get those shots off. See if he can remedy that here in this fourth quarter.
Well, he's had spotty minutes as well. He's only played 6, but you're right. He does like a lean and good pass and just hiding around the back. I mean, how you miss a guy the size of Mustafa Al-Makawi, but they did. He was just wide open under the basket.
And that's it. Once again, you can't allow Al-Makawi inside that half circle. As soon as he's in there, it's either a bucket or an assist.
Here's Giannato bounce passing it in to Murilito, and did he walk with it? Yes, he did, said the referee.
Some great defense there as well. Al-Makawi all over him, forcing that travel to happen there. And he's having a game for himself at this point, Dan.
Yeah, he's played well, Al-Makawi. He's 7 rebounds, 7 points, a plus-minus of 13. He's certainly made a contribution out there. His back line again. Look how much room Abdul Halim had to himself there for a guy who's already hit from that side of the court. They're baiting him into shooting. He doesn't make them pay though. And there's a little bit of a touch foul on the rebound by Al-Makawi.
Once again, if you're Mozambique though, you want to force Egypt into making tough decisions with the ball. Baiting them into shooting threes right now I don't think would be the best strategy, considering how hot they were in that third quarter. Can't give them time to think.
Canavetti bounces it down to Murilito. It's cross court to Machate for 3 off the back of the ring. Good timing on the offensive rebound, and it just drops in for Murilito.
That might have been the best individual effort we've seen from Mozambique so far.
Good catch that from Sousa. Here he is again. A chance to fire up a 3. That one's off the back of the ring. They seem to have gone cold this time from the 3-point line. The Egyptians here in the fourth quarter, but they already have a very nice comfort margin. Three-point shot is short. They've really struggled from behind the arc, Mozambique.
Once again, Mozambique. It's so important for them to make the most of their open shots. And right now, this is though where we've been saying this before throughout the game, Dan, is this is where they've been making their bread and butter though. Pressuring at the half court, trying to force, as we're seeing now, almost a kind of full court press going on here, forcing Egypt to the sidelines.
Baka hands it on. Abdul Halim. Oh, nice. Whoa, not quite. But again, good fundamental low post move from El-Makawi.
Yep, absolutely. But once again, the points we were talking about at the end of the third quarter, it's important for them to make sure that they're denying that inbound pass, but they're just not doing it right now. And the only way they can do that is with the help defense and the rotation. And it just seems like in the second half that Mozambique has taken a step back defensively. Not communicating as much, not using their athleticism to their advantage. Despite the fact that they're undersized against Egypt, they'd shown time and again in those first 3 quarters that they can deny those inbound passes if they really, really want to, and they just haven't been able to do that at the start of this fourth quarter.
Here's Giannato. Little bobble of the ball, but Canavetti gets it back around the screen, jacks up the 3. They're shooting 15% from the 3-point line and going down as a team, Mozambique. In the corner, turns it over. Giannato out on the break and finishes with the left hand. The basket will count. He'll go to the line for a bonus.
And that's exactly what Mozambique will need to continue to do. They've got 7 minutes now to try and turn up their pace right now and force Egypt into making those kind of poor passes. And that was on Okasha there, who went for the pass, and he was called for the foul. He was the one that was supposed to receive the pass, mind you, and Gennaro was right there. Gennado's now trying to call somebody up.
And first points of the game for him.
There it is. You got to trap him.
Oh, nearly another turnover from Egypt, but Backus there to save it. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, he misses from underneath the basket. He can't believe it. He was all on his own. He's under the basket. He has to score.
I'm sure he's going to be thinking about that one after the game.
I'm sure his teammates, oh, it's the foul that we get to see there. I'm sure his teammates will be reminding him of that one. Mustafa, how did you miss that one at 6'8"?
You should have dunked it.
Yeah. His teammates, I'm sure, will give him some polite ribbing at the end of the game for that one.
Looks like we're going to have a timeout here.
I think the scoreboard's gone again.
Yep.
And there you go. You can see it on your screen. Scoreboard has powered down for a moment or two, so the referee sent them back to the benches. And you do wonder, I mentioned it earlier, you do wonder the torrential rain that we had overnight and into the morning, whether that has affected some of the electrical equipment here in the arena.
Yep.
Because it did go down just before halftime as well, or just before the end of halftime. But they're over there trying to suss it out and get things back up and running. We've got a busy day ahead of us here in both Group D and Group B. The other game in this group is Senegal, the hosts, against South Africa. That one tipping off at 6:30 local time. And then in Group B at 3 p.m. local time, we've got the Central Africans taking on Morocco, and then rounding off the day at 9 o'clock local time, Angola and Uganda go head to head. Looking forward to that one for sure. Promises to be an interesting matchup. Plus
Angola's actually never faced Uganda before.
I think it's also, we're looking forward to seeing Senegal and Angola. I think many people coming into the competition will be looking at those two teams, given their pedigree, given their lineups, as two that could go deep in this tournament. And from our pool here, they're probably the two marquee names that we'll be expecting to be in Tunisia for the next stage. But you never know what happens. The games are played on the hardwood and not on paper. And me and you can sit here and go, well, this team looks great and that team looks great, but it's how they perform on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting back to even this game right now, with Mozambique down by 18, once again, we've seen, if I was the coaching staff during that little impromptu timeout that they had, this is an opportunity to catch your breath, because they've shown time and again that Egypt will cough it up if they press on the defense.
Oh, Shinato just says, well, these guys won't be awake. Come out of that little break, I'm going to run right down the lane and lay it in for two.
And that's exactly what it looks like, and here it is. We see the pressure now, almost giving up the pass there. And this is what you want to see if you're a Mozambique fan. You want to see the pressure. You want to see them trying to create those turnovers. Egypt, as we've said before, not the strongest ball handlers in this tournament.
Oh, Makawi screaming for the ball in the lane. Teammates didn't give it to him. And there he is. He says, oh, I'll go get it myself and stick it back for two.
Excellent finish there. And once again, though, we see the breakdown in defense. Mozambique leaving their defenders wide open. Not exactly sure how that even happened. I mean, everyone was kind of matched up. There was no screen or pick.
Tough three-point shot
Lean again.
Yeah, no good this time. It's
Makarenge.
Well, they've picked up a little bit here in the fourth quarter offensively, but they just simply have to put more points on the board. You just cannot win games at this level going at barely a point a minute. That's going to be the number one thing, because, you know, defensively, all right, we've talked about they've missed, had lapses and left open shots. And, you know, if Egypt had shot the ball a little better, they might have got away a little sooner. But, you know, 57 is not the end of the world. I know there's still 6 minutes to go from Mozambique's point of view defensively, but just 39 is not enough.
It isn't, and really the reason we even keep saying that Mozambique has a chance to keep this interesting is because of the fact that look at how they score their points. It's off of the turnovers and it's fast layups. And there it is. Just once again, though, it just does not look like anyone's really communicating with each other on Mozambique's side, though. It's just breakdowns defensively, little mistakes, and they've just been adding up into a very inefficient game for a team that is very athletic and thrives off of high percentage shots, which they just haven't been able to get.
Yeah, slightly unlucky there as Kaifaj kind of got in with Charter's way as he was trying to grab the rebound. There's a foul on the floor as Baka on the pick and roll cut back towards the basket and had a mismatch, and he drew the foul. So it'll be an end-line ball to Egypt. They're 5.5 minutes away from winning their opening game here in the group. Nice pass and an easy layup.
Full credit to Egypt here, Dan. They have just done an absolutely fantastic job of moving off the ball and working off of screens. And that is the reason why they're up by 20 right now.
Shinata looking for some help finding it. Good movement of the ball, and they get an open shot in the corner, and that's a three. They haven't hit too many of those today as Novella knocks one down from behind the arc. Sorry, it was Kaifaz who knocked it down from behind the arc.
I believe that's his first basket of the game.
It is.
Feed him the ball.
Khalifa thinks about the three, turns it down, drives in, loses it. Oh, it's almost like he passed it to himself off the backboard. It kind of slipped out of his hands. He caught it back.
That looked like Vince Carter a la the 2004 All-Star game minus the dunk.
Yeah. Minus the athleticism. Yeah.
Still a great finish, though, to take that contact.
And look at that. Hustle at the defensive end to knock it loose. Abdul Halim dumps it off, and that's just too easy out on the break. Baka is there to lay it in.
Egypt's fundamentals just getting the better of Mozambique right now.
That's overcooked, and Khalifa with the rebound to slow it down, and the rest of his team say, no, we're good, let's go. 3-point shot off the back of the ring to Shinata. Abdul Halim chasing it down, trying to knock it loose. Gendi on his back. He's also known as Al-Gendi. If you're wondering, some of the Egyptians have different names on the back of the shirts to the ones that are listed on the official roster of the competition. That's not unusual.
Magaliko going to the line now. And Magaliko was hinting before this tournament that this might be his last international appearance with Mozambique. The 33-year-old.
Well, he's been to, this is his 7th AfroBasket. His first one was back in 2005. He averaged 7 points a game a couple of years ago in AfroBasket 15. His best outing offensively was that first one back in 2005. He was averaging 17 points a game back then.
2 today, 3 rebounds, 13 minutes on the floor. But unfortunately, that's been the stat line for a lot of Mozambique players. The scoring has been shared, but just not a lot of it.
Well, that's the thing. We banged on about it, haven't we? But
Well, let's bang on it some more.
Let's bang on some more. There's nobody in double figures. There's 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and there's nobody in double figures. You can win games like that, but you won't win very many. Your percentage chance is lower. You need to find, if the offense isn't ticking as a team, you need an individual to carry it through.
For the only way you can win a game like that is if your defense is astonishing. And Mozambique, especially in the second half, really just kind of looks aloof when they're on D. There's an even careless pass, turnover. Unfortunately, that's just been the MO of this team in this first game. Not exactly the way you want to kick off a tournament where it's only going to get tougher from here.
No good in the corner three for Khalifa. He's launched a few of them today. Driving through the lane, there's a whistle on the play as
foul's going to be on Abdallah there.
You can see
in the replay here,
just
Martins. Yep, Martins getting an opportunity here. Did not play in the first half. Here he is at the line, and he was trying to make the most of it, attacking the basket. But unfortunately, once again, the shooting woes from the free throw line. Yet another reason why Mozambique find themselves down by double digits.
Yeah, that will be, the box score won't be pretty reading at the end for Mozambique, because their shooting percentages are 29% from the floor, 19% from the three-point line, and 45%, or it's up to 48% after that, from the free throw line.
We have a substitution as well, as Margalico is now off.
Khalifa. Abdallah puts the ball on the floor, takes it to the roll with the rearrange, gets his own rebound, finishes at the second attempt.
And once again, there it is. Nobody there to box out. Egypt taking full advantage of their second chance opportunities in this game.
Abdallah showing some moves there going to the hole. Little fall away, way off the mark from Shire.
A little bit of over rotation there on that spin. Wasn't able to get himself square to the basket. What a find.
Oh, kick out. Nice ball movement from Egypt. Do they have the shot at the end? Yes, they do. The three is good from Okasha in the corner.
And this is where you want to be if you're Egypt. And there's a good attack to the rim, though. Good finish there. Number 13.
Kaifaz.
Yep, Kaifaz. He's making the most of his minutes right now. Another player who didn't play in the first half. Trying to get some minutes here, trying to impress coach.
Well, there's 2 more games to come. If you can do something now, you might get a few more minutes come tomorrow. You
can see the subs, they want to play.
Yeah. Jonathan taking it down the lane, gets it back somehow. Probably shouldn't have. Martins takes it to the back. Basket, no good. Gamal out ahead of everybody, but the pass just a little high and floaty, so he takes the three instead, and he makes the three. Well, Egypt up to 71. It didn't look like they were going to get that high for much of the game, but the offense flowing here in the fourth quarter.
Well, when you don't have any pressure on defense and you're able to recenter yourself just like he did there, more often than not, especially this late in the game when you've had as many shots as Egypt has had, they're going to start falling.
This Al-Ghammo again in the corner for three, doesn't go. Egypt with the rebound, and they're all letting it fly from the three-point line. Abdallah's shot doesn't go. We're inside the final minute, and the foul is called. And I think he just, I think that was a deliberate foul, so he could come out of the game. And,
yep. Al-Ghammo wanting to give his teammates an opportunity to get in here, get some shots up, and El Sadani is in. You see the replay, he's trying to foul him. You see he's got the little smirk going on there. And here he is. Centers him up and once again knocks it down on that replay. And once again, when you have that much time to just set up your shot, didn't look like any urgency whatsoever, then more often than not you're going to knock it down. And for his efforts. He's going to get a chance to sit on the bench, recover a little bit before Egypt moves on to their next game.
Well, it also gives El Sudani the chance to come into the game. There is Kamal on the bench, 13 points. He's joint leading scorer. He's also 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Perhaps not shot it as well as he would have liked. He did make 3 of 8 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, but Dan, we've discussed this before as well. You know, very first game of the tournament, they're the first ones on the floor.
Yeah.
Checking out these rims, checking out the floor, just kind of getting used to the surroundings. The depth perception as well plays a factor at times.
Oh, beautiful. The bench loved that as Big Khalifa makes his 2nd triple of the game.
And Egypt's just making it rain at this point.
Well, amazing. They got to 74. This game really got out of hand here in the 4th quarter. And you just go back to that first half. It wasn't beyond the realms of possibility that Mozambique could have been, if not level, then close to it, as the foul is called. And they went in.
Chimanzo with the foul there.
They went in down 11, I think it was, as we have another look back at that 3-point shot.
Khalifa, and then trying to get the layup there. But I like that though. If you're Chimanzo, you want to try and as a point guard, just show guys, hey, we can't just let these guys get whatever basket they want at this point. And he makes a little bit of a statement there by shoving Khalifa and preventing the basket, and Khalifa ends up not being able to drain the 2nd free throw as a result.
Well, the shot clock is switched off. I think Egypt will probably just run this one out now. They want one more score. It doesn't really matter either. They're slapping 5. They're just going to run it out as time ticks down. Good opening day for Egypt. They struggled at times with their shooting, but they had too much in reserve for Mozambique, and actually a big second half allowed them to run away with this one. Comfortable winners in the end by 47 points to 75. Great start to the competition for Egypt. Get that win on the board, move on to tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have an opportunity here to get as many open looks as they did, it really just shows how well prepared this squad is, how well they've trained. Once again, Mozambique, still some positives to draw from this match, really, when you think of the fact of how many times they were able to force turnovers off of the Egyptian guards, how many times they were able to get to the lane and get to the basket. Now it's really just about the fundamentals. It's about the small things. It's about being able to square yourself up to the basket when you have an open shot. It's about being able to continuously find accurate passes, not getting discouraged when there's a letdown on defense, to make sure that you have to hang in tough, and that's something that Mozambique is definitely going to have to work on. But full credit goes to Egypt. They came out, and despite the rough start, if you will, especially the forced turnovers in that first half, they really handled business and picked it up in the second.
Well, here's the numbers on the game, and you talked about rebounding. Actually, Egypt didn't quite dominate it down the stretch as much as they would. I'm sure Coach will highlight those 12 turnovers as a play. I mean, 12's not the end of the world for a 40-minute game, but just as you know what coaches are like. They like to look at every angle they can to improve on shooting numbers as well. Could do with going up slightly, but you know what? You come here, you get a best part of a 30-point win. You get back to the hotel, get yourself ready for tomorrow. They'll be very happy with their morning into afternoon's work here, Egypt.
Yep, not a doubt about it. Really, once again, Mozambique as well, what they can take away from this, only 6 turnovers in the entire game, when they'd shown flashes of being able to move the ball incredibly well. But once again, the story was in that 3rd quarter how Egypt really heated up behind the arc here, and just all these crisp passes, wide open shots.
Yeah, they came in bunches, the 3-point shots from Egypt. That's been the thing. And again, maybe if coach there, we want a little bit more consistency, but thought this guy played well as well, El Makawi. And Mozambique, they just need to find a way of getting the scoreboard ticking. That's the thing. Defensively, they had their lapses, but they weren't They were lively, their effort. We saw plays like this one, steals turning it. They just got to keep the scoreboard ticking, because they're not going to win games if they're only scoring 47 points.
No, unfortunately not. And once again, as a coach, it's got to be frustrating to see moves like that, like getting to the basket and just flashes of athleticism, but then once again getting dominated on the post. It's got to be frustrating, because you're just seeing the flashes of brilliance from this Mozambique team, and they've got a lot to learn, but they have the potential to be a very dangerous opponent in a few years' time.
Well, there is still plenty to come from FIBA AfroBasket 2017 here in Dakar. We've got our first game underway. It's the first of 4 that will be taking place in this venue over the next few hours, so do try and join us for those. We've got Central Africa coming up against Morocco, 3 p.m. local time. Senegal and Angola to come later on this evening, but this morning, this early afternoon, as it is now, has been about Egypt, the former champions, getting their campaign off to a winning start, and they will look to build on this in this Group B and try and get themselves on a plane to Tunisia for the next stages. But just try and fine-tune themselves. That's the key here for Egypt. They've got themselves off to a winning start here in Dakar.